morning, world. I am the devil's advocate. What does that mean? Well, the devil's advocate is questioning things. The ear and the brain for what if? What if this happens? What if something else happens? And also, do I have a plan A? Well, for sure. Do I have a plan B? Maybe not. Do I need a plan B? For sure. And that's in my brain from, I don't know when. It's just there. So I found out that that is something that I actually capitalize a lot of in my work. I work as a project manager. I've been working as an entrepreneur. I've been working as a teacher. I do teach risk analysis, and risk analysis is really to be the devil's advocate. It's actually something I've been doing for more than 10 years, and teaching students to do the handicraft of risk and risk analysis is really something that is so much fun. I experienced this, that risk was a very interesting thing to work with many years ago, because I always had this feeling of what if something happened, I would immediately spin away and say, that's interesting. What happens if I do this? And sometimes to the annoyance of my friends or my parents and other people that were not that happy with my curiosity. However, that curiosity has been driving me for my full life, and it still does. I take it so natural to be this extremely curious and also looking into, again, what if, and also why. So I even found out that there is there's an academic genre called systems engineering, and some methods there are called the 5 whys. It's really drilled down to why did this happen? And you can imagine my thrill with the COVID-19 crisis now. I'm thinking about how could this happen? Why did it happen? Because, and then I drill down into try to understand what's the root cause. That's what we call technically the root cause of this to happen. And I do that in many cases just because it's interesting. It's a nice thing for my brain to work with. And I'm also paid for it. So when at work, my work as a consultant, this is part of my job to do with a risk manager. And risk management is really to know what you don't really know, but you have some gut feeling that this is something that I am worried about, or this doesn't smell good. It's not logical. It's not clean. And then, well, I send myself in and start to work with this. And another way how I recognized this was that I was so annoyed sometimes with people telling me, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And I said, yes, of course. And they have the same talent as I have, of course, because they also are able to look into the world and see things coming that others don't see. And that strikes me when I'm talking now, that it's really something that the people that you have around you that have this kind of questioning or worrisome attitude, they are really lifesavers in any kind of work, because they think about what if we do like this, what if we do like that. And it's also a way to come forward when there is uncharted lands, when we don't have a plan for what, but a best plan for what to do. So we need to find out a way forward. So again, being the devil's advocate, what if we do like this? And people say, oh, you're such a great person. You see possibilities everywhere. And I think that is really something that is remarkable of being the devil's advocate. Some people say that devil's advocate is just an annoying person that always picks on those things that may not work. And to some extent, that's true. And then you should know that I care a lot about the other things. It's just that I have already seen them and they look okay. So I'm trained as an engineer. I've been working as an engineer for all my life. Engineers are extremely good at picking out those anomalies, that things that are not logical or doesn't fit in really. I can spot an error on a page. I don't know what's there in what's written there, but I can for sure see that there is a word that is not properly spelled. Again, I see the pin in the haystack, that lost pin in the haystack, and that is a talent for sure. So challenges about being this kind of person is, of course, that some people say, but can't you just stop and let things go? And I cannot. So I need to express myself well. And I think that's something that I picked up in coaching, learning and coaching training, that how to present these doubts that everything is really clear. So expressing things like, just a thought, have you thought about, or what if, just a thought, and then it gets behind the brain, into the brain of that other people, and they say, I think Margaretha has a point here. And then it has to digest for hours or days, and then we'll be thinking about things. What if we do like that? And I say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. That's brilliant. So it was just planted there and open up the eyes for those who didn't see. So I see myself as a positive addition in any project or in any endeavor. And sometimes, of course, it's really stopping things, because I feel like there are so many unknowns. So how do we trot forward? And the answer is like, well, one small step at a time. A good rule is keep moving and be on alert, because I'm extremely sensible, and also some of my friends with the same talent, we're extremely sensitive for any kind of, there's a missing piece here. Did we think about all the details? And then my brain starts to put the pieces of the puzzle together to see where the missing piece is. I'm extremely structured in that sense. So when I have the bits and pieces, we can put it together and make it work. So when someone pushes me and accuses me of being too picky, too much, I say nothing really. I just keep quiet and let them rest for a while, because sometimes it's really hard to accept that things are not really okay. And of course, that takes some time to be digested and to be understood. And it's something that the other person or those who I work with need to take to their hearts. And when they've done that, they usually come back and say, thank you, you saved this. Also, if I'm pushed, I may say, okay, skip it then, which means that we're losing the insurance for taking care of those details that are crucial. And then I feel like I'm not doing my best. I'm losing my integrity. So I prefer not to be pushed, but sometimes it's the case. And I know so well that it will come back. It will strike back any day. And it will strike back in a nasty way. So don't push me. Trust me. I know I have been there, done that. And as for the usage of my talent of being the devil's advocate, I think it's something that I've been paid for doing for quite some years now. There's a method for risk analysis. I'm working with IT and IT security. So that's a big piece there. And I make good money out of that. And I'm teaching that to students. And it's also a crucial part of their job to do the handicraft. And not many schools have these special courses on risk analysis, which I provide. And in other job situations where I'm working, I'm the project manager, which means I need to embrace risk on a regular basis. Or in certain cases, I've been the sole risk manager, which means it's a lot of fun, actually, to have the job of looking into what may happen and collect those stories from all the participants in a project or in an organization, and then mitigate them. That's the technical word. How to solve those risks or make them smaller. And one interesting effect of doing risk analysis in a project is that every week, which we usually do it on a weekly basis, every week we meet and everybody get to air their worries about things going the wrong way, or we're not able to do what we have set forward to do, that they can actually air their worries, let their shoulders down, and knowing that it's taken into account. And sometimes someone else just in the meeting says, but this is not an issue. We know how to deal with this. And then it's solved. So just, it's like trolls. The old story that put a troll out in the sun and it will disappear. And the same goes with risks. Bring them up on the table, look at them and say, who are you? What are you doing? And why are you behaving so oddly? And a lot of these oddities will disappear, because there's a reason why these oddities happens. It may be someone thought that this was a proper way of doing it, or there was something else driving this behavior. So when we bring this up in what's called a risk register, we bring it on a table, we can discuss them, and we can also make the best out of this odd situation. And if I'm the project manager, I also know where is our traps, so make sure that we stay away from them as much as possible. And sometimes we have just to accept the risk. We don't know what will happen. And if you think about the COVID-19 situation now, we could no one, but very few people would actually see this impact of global traveling bringing this virus around. And now we know that this traveling that we used to do is actually very risky. One person can carry this virus from China to Italy for some reason and into Sweden. That path has been traced. And next time, we know that if we see something bad happen at the horizon, whether it's in China or whether this virus or some other virus, now we're working with this virus, some other virus appears, we have at least a better strategy to deal with that. And I think that's an interesting impact on dealing with risk and being the devil's advocate. Also, there's one piece in the devil's advocate's job, and that is the human factor. And we sometimes blame accidents or mishaps on the human factor. And I would say the human factor can actually make a difference, like me, but also for anybody, because if we understand why it's important to do something in a certain way, whether it's about information security, which is my field, or protecting your health, which we all know now by being quarantined. When we understand why it is important and why Sweden has chosen its way of not have a total lockdown and other countries have, we understand that we need to do certain measures to actually be there where we want to be in due time. So being the devil's advocate is actually a very good and rewarding driving force to actually to assure that our lives and our world stay in good shape for the future. Thank you very much.